Okay, everyone, how you doing? This is Master Chris here, Chris Gray from St. Matthew's Martial Arts, here to make my contribution to all of the online tutorials that we've done to help everyone maintain their training and their fitness level and to maintain a low stress level during these hard times. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to go over some basic conditioning and workout things that we can do while you're at home that'll complement and supplement what we've done here in the dojo in the studio. You know, with specific reference to maintaining your martial arts ability and also to incorporate some of the things that we've done in our new Go Kempo Fitness Annex, where we do a lot of the functional fitness training, personalized training, and things like that. So, without any delay, let's go ahead and get started with the first aspect of what we're going to do is work on just a fundamental strategy of how you work out, how to do it safely, and actually how to get the most out of your workout without, paying the price too much later. Okay, what I like to do, one of the formats, the concepts when I do any type of a workout, is the first thing that I like to do is do a full body warm-up. It doesn't have to be anything intense. It can last 5 or 10 minutes depending on, your beginning fitness level. By warming the body up, you get all the fluids moving, all the muscles warmed up, all the tendons nice and oiled and everything, the joints. So then you're ready to actually go into a decent workout, injury-free. Okay, so what we do is, what I like to do is start off with the basic jump rope. So now don't let this scare you because we don't have to jump around here like we're Rocky Balboa or anything. But the jump rope is a really, a kind of a low-tech way of getting some good cardiovascular training and warm-up in, and it also gives you mild plyometric training, which is the springiness of your tendons and your muscles as you move. The light jumping will help you do that. It'll also elevate your heart rate a little bit, and over the course of about 5 or so minutes, you'll get a really good sweat on. Now, what I recommend is do not try to do 5 straight minutes of jump rope. I'm going to actually teach you how to break yourself into the activity of jumping rope. Again, you're jumping for a while, you're making impact on the bones and joints, so you want to kind of ease yourself into something like this. Okay, now, so getting into jumping rope, what we want to first work on in any type of physical movement, there's a certain type of posture and the way that you shape your body for efficiency and to prevent injury. So remember, when you're jumping rope, you don't want the stiff body. You want the knees to be slightly bent. You're going to be springing on the balls of your feet, but you want your ankles to kind of be light and springy as well. You don't want to be jarring the body and jarring the joints with a straight body. Slightly bent at all times so that you have that spring working. Okay, now, when you jump rope, it's important to have a rope that's a good enough length so you can clear your own body as you're jumping. So this is a pretty good one for myself. Now, when you hold the rope, what you want to pay attention to is when you hold the rope, if your hands are too far out, you can see behind me how the rope length starts to shorten. So it's a lot easier if you keep the ropes or the handles fairly close to your body. You don't have to be like in an elbows position kind of a thing, but just keep them kind of closer to your body as you rotate. The second thing is you will have more time to clear the rope on your jump if the handles are actually a little bit forward. If they're back here, then on the rotation, it hits the ground practically right in front of my toes. But if my hands are just a little bit forward, then the rotation hits way out there. I get the sound of that snap when it hits the ground, and that's a good cue to time my jumping as I do the jumping rope. So what we're going to do as we get into this, again, we don't want to go too fast with jumping rope. So what we're going to try to do is just 5 regular rotations, okay? 5 jumps, clearing the rope each time, and then take a break. You want to kind of get into the idea of springing. We don't want to do the double jump. That's way inefficient. It jars your body, and you really don't get as much out of it. You'll get tired a lot quicker. Okay. Also, we don't want to do too much of a jump. You're really just trying to clear just enough space as if you were walking, and your toe just clears the ground as your foot swings through. That's pretty much what you're going for. So, with me, I'll demonstrate the first time through. We actually kind of hold them out in front a little bit to get it going, and we try to get 5 rotations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. Just try to get that going. get used to the momentum, get used to the kinematics of what you're doing. Let your body figure out what it's supposed to be doing as you work your way into this, okay? And notice, it's just a nice relaxed twirl. I don't need to keep my arms stiff. I actually let the weight of the rope kind of bring it around. My wrists are loose, the wrists will rotate, the shoulders will stay relaxed. All right, so now, had a little bit of a break. Let's go for 5 more. Again, 5 rotations. If you don't get the 5, don't worry about it. In about another 2 or 3 minutes, you'll probably be doing 5 or 10 of them easily. Okay? Starting with me again, ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. All right. So now, the strategy that I recommend as you do jump rope training, start off with, 5 and make it to 10, make it to 20, slowly progress yourself, over days. Now, when you get to the point where you can jump rope for a solid, like say 15, 20 seconds, then I would take your sets to jump roping for the 15 to 20 seconds and then taking a 30-second rest. After the rest, do another 15 to 20 seconds, then take another 30-second rest. Try to do this for about 4 cycles. That's all you need to get started. And as you progress, you'll kind of get the idea of your own cardiovascular potential. Don't overexert yourself, and you can actually get a pretty good cardiovascular workout by jumping rope. Okay, so lastly, I will demonstrate about a 10-second set of constant jumping rope with a good rhythm, a good flow. And of course, I might have a little bit of a hiccup, but that's what makes it fun. So here we go. We're all clear, I believe so. Begin. Try to make sure you breathe. Keep your chest and your core relaxed. If you tense your breath, that'll tire you out quicker. Being able to move and exert yourself and maintain your breathing really builds up a lot of your endurance. Oops, that didn't work. But there you go. Keep it fun for yourselves. Have a good day. Okay, so the next exercise I'm going to introduce, now that we've done our warm-up and we've actually engaged our core, we've warmed up our core a little bit, now we can get on to some other cool stuff using resistance and things like that. Now, in the training that I like to do, because in this day and age, everyone's pressed for time, and maximizing the quality of what you get out of your workouts and minimizing the time that you need to do it in is important. So, one of the things that I like to introduce, and with the recent events, I've noticed that in the stores and even on online ordering, a lot of the kettlebells have been hard to come by, because I think a lot of people have been realizing that they can pretty much get a full body workout just by having a decent set of kettlebells in their home, since no one has access to all of the gyms and fitness centers. That's a really good realization. Now, with the kettlebells, you actually have an opportunity, depending on the type of working out you're doing and your focus, you can actually get your resistance training for strength, you can get flexibility training, you can also get the plyometric explosive training, and you can get cardiovascular training depending on how you choose to use these things, as long as you're using them properly. So I'm going to introduce a really simple, straightforward exercise using one kettlebell, and I recommend using a very light weight on any kettlebell exercise when you first do it, so that you get the idea of how to actually execute the exercise safely before you start adding more resistance, increasing the intensity, duration, and frequency, things like that. So, this exercise is actually called the slicer or the slasher, depending on, what you're feeling at the moment. Thus, why I have the sword. So I can demonstrate the movement by holding a broadsword. So, two-handed broadsword, you basically think about swinging over your head, slicing down at an angle. Right from here, you change the direction, swing it back over your head, slice down at the other angle. Okay, this is kind of a really good transverse movement. It gets you coming across your body, not just being on the sagittal plane or the coronal plane. So it kind of works that twisting as well, which is also good for your shoulders, your core, your hips, pretty much everything involved. So, involving this with the footwork, we come around and we step into the slice this way. step back in, there's a double step and slice. So pretty much like we're just going back and forth with a two-handed broadsword slice. That is the basic movement, just to give you a visual, something to think about to help the body awareness. Now, when we use the kettlebell, depending on the size and weight of the kettlebell, if the handle's not that large, then you can just kind of fold both your hands in this way. If it's a larger handle, or if you have smaller hands, you can actually maybe hold it like a two-handed broadsword. Either way, whatever works, whatever's safest. So what you want to do with this exercise first is make sure that you know how to switch the dominant hand as you're going through the exercise. Okay? So I'm going to start with just my right hand as the dominant hand, left hand goes under. So I start my slicing with the kettlebell. Up, step into it. Step back, step out. You can have a tendency to want to count your sets like in repetitions, number of times you execute the exercise, but with kettlebells, a lot of the stuff you do tends to be symmetrical, so I recommend doing more of a time frame. That way you can allow your body to get warm, your heart rate to get up a little bit, and about halfway through your set, switch the dominant hand. Just keep the circle going. So say 30 seconds with one side, 30 seconds with the other side. Notice the knees are bent, the hips are engaged. I'm letting my core and my shoulders turn. And there you have the slashers with the kettlebell. Thank you. Okay, Master Chris again. So next, of my favorite exercises that I like to do for the core are planks, basic front planks. It engages actually your whole body, but in order to keep your body in that straight, rigid form, you really have to engage in the core to keep from segmenting at the hips. So with this exercise, again, you start off really slow. You're engaging different parts of your body that might not be as strong yet. So you start off really slow with like maybe a set or maybe a duration of 15 seconds, maybe even 10 seconds, and work your way up to 30 seconds. Once you can hold a basic plank for a duration of a good minute, a good 60 seconds, you're doing pretty good. Your core is actually recovering and getting pretty strong. So here's how we start this. We get on the ground here, and what I'm going to do is I want to make sure that my humerus bone is lined up right under my shoulder, meaning when I'm on the ground, I don't want to be too far out, and I don't want to be too far in. I want my shoulders to be directly above my elbows, okay? Now I'm going to kind of inchworm up a little bit so that when I go into my plank, I can engage and keep my body as straight as possible. Okay, so we don't want to float up really high, we don't want to droop low, we stay here. And again, as you're doing a plank, try to keep your diaphragm, your lungs, keep your breathing engaged. This is the basic exercise. When you can hold it for about 30 to 60 seconds, you're doing pretty good. You would relax, let your body rest, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then do your next set. And again, you can build the duration, the time that you do this exercise. Once you get to doing a plank for a minute, still rest for the 30 seconds, then maybe after that, move up to a minute and 15 seconds. After you've increased your duration, keep the rest time the same if possible, the same 30 seconds. And that will help you build your strength and your endurance with the plank. And this is a really good exercise to alleviate a tense lower back. So again, elbows right under the shoulders. On the balls of the feet, I inchworm up a little bit so that when I engage, my body elevates, and this is your basic front plank. Pretty straightforward exercise, but it engages a lot of muscles. The thighs, the butt, stomach, shoulders, the chest, everything. And there you go. All right, moving on to the last exercise I'll do for this particular segment. I'm going to use a pair of kettlebells now and demonstrate a really simple, straightforward exercise that works the entire body. Okay, it also gives you cardiovascular benefits as you do this exercise. More of these exercises are to come, but just pay attention here. This is a really simple, easy one to do. You can actually do this with a pair of dumbbells as well, or any type of hand weights. The kettlebells have a pretty interesting dynamic. When you hold the kettlebells, normally when you hold a weight, the weight is on the side and it goes right down through the center of your joints and your structure and everything. However, a kettlebell, the weight is always offset, either one way or the other way. So it forces all of your corrective intrinsic muscles to engage to compensate for that, which is why you tend to get more of a workout with some of these movements. So when you handle a kettlebell, when we come up from a bicep, say we're going to do a bicep curl, the kettlebell normally lays down right on the back of our wrists. If I'm going to do kind of like a snatching motion, like an Olympic weightlift, we do not want to flip the kettlebell up. The snatch is going to be part of this exercise. All we really need to do is let the wrist pronate on around. See the difference between snapping it over and making it eventually it wears on your wrist versus curling and pronating the wrist up as we get into this position, and then we'll go into the shoulder press. So, that being said, let's get into this exercise. This is a really good one, gets the heart rate up and trains the entire body. So, feet apart, a little bit more than shoulder width, similar to your horse stance. Have your toes slightly turned out. Whenever we do a squat, we want to make sure that our knees bend in line with our toes. Okay, we don't want the knees to buckle or anything like that. Now, the exercise that we do, we're going to keep the back straight, but it doesn't have to stay vertical. So we can kind of bend at the hips a little bit and engage the proper lifting techniques. What we're going to do, one particular repetition of this exercise involves a lot of movements though. Simple movements. Starting off, squat and deadlift. Squat and touch all the way to the ground, then bicep curl. Squat, touch all the way to the ground, and I'm going to let go of the right and do my snatch and shoulder press. That's considered one. I start over again, squat and deadlift, squat, bicep curl, squat, right shoulder press. Start the sequence again, deadlift, bicep, one arm snatch and shoulder press. Deadlift, bicep curl, one arm snatch. Try to keep your breathing rhythm with the movement. Your heart rate will eventually start to rise. Burns calories, gives you resistance training, and works body awareness. One more to even it out. And there you go.